All right, hey everyone. So in our first video, we started just establishing the importance of this, the fact that we are talking about the strategy crafting, strategy executing process, and our pretty much all of our lead up into this as focus on that crafting, and we're talking about this importance of executing that chosen strategy now. Of course, the difficulties that accompany it, what our roles as managers really is once we get into one of those roles in making sure that strategy is effective. And essentially what we've come to the conclusion of is it's hard because everybody's got to be involved, and as managers we're kind of some of these people who are going to kind of be this guiding light for people, showing them how do we need to be acting, what kinds of things are going to support the strategy that's hopefully in the best interest of everybody involved. But we know it's difficult, right? So we talk about it from a firm level an awful lot in these classes. So how do we build such a firm that is capable of all of these moving parts, that brings them all together, that ensures that everybody's on board and aligned with our strategy and is supporting it effectively? Well, there's a lot of things we could do, of course, right? But what we have found through a lot of our research into, our firm performance, strategic execution, some of these elements, is first and foremost, we have these three key actions, these three key areas that are often associated with how we build a firm that is going to be capable of effectively executing that strategy. And it all starts, should be no surprise, with this idea of staffing our organization. So what does it mean to establish a strong management team and recruit the critical employees necessary in order to pull this thing off? Let's look a little bit more into this. All right. So staffing in our organization, there are a lot of considerations that are really important, but a capable management team is essentially our first and foremost big thing that we have to establish in our organization. We have to establish a capable management team, because a capable management team is going to ensure that the implementation and execution process is not going to be hampered by wasted time or efforts or managerial ineptness or people steering people the wrong way. It's so important. We put a lot of effort, our organizations put the most effort into ensuring that we put managers into place that are clear thinkers, provocative, delivery-oriented people that get things done and think about why they make the choices that they do. So important from a strategic perspective. Now, those managers, we know, can come from either within or outside of the organization. A lot of internal promotion is really valuable within our organizations because people have a more nuanced understanding of how things work in the organization, can be very helpful. But a lot of the times we need certain, let's say, like knowledge, experience, or capabilities that might not exist in our individuals within the organization just yet, in which case, absolutely, managers, good managers can come from inside, they can come from outside, they can come from wherever. And then finally, we would say, a big consideration to all this is our primary focus needs to remain on assembling this critical mass of management talent, right? These are our agents of change. We have to create this critical mass of individuals to hopefully create this collective sense or collective managerial culture that's going to push this type of change forward and ensure that these things are executed properly. It is difficult for us as a firm to completely execute our strategy and achieve this operational excellence we're going after without recruiting and retaining a very large band of extremely capable, actively engaged, high achieving employees and managers. We focus on the managers, but the employees equally as important. So well-managed firms, it just comes down to this truth. Well-managed firms, they strive hard to make their entire workforce, managers and rank and file employees, everyone, a genuine resource strength for the organization. So when we say that, that's great. We can emphasize it, but most people are probably sitting here thinking, okay, well then how do we do that, right? Well, from an HR perspective, this can be, I could give you a ton of details about this kind of stuff, but we talk a lot about this, strategic staffing and filling positions within an organization in strategic HR quite often, right? But it all comes down to making sure we have extremely rigorous processes in place to make sure we actively screen and evaluate our applicants to make sure they have the skills, the judgment, aptitude, experience, all these things necessary in order to do these jobs really effectively and make sure they're the right people. But it doesn't stop there, right? We can't just expect people to come in. We've all started a job where we were like, I have no damn clue what I'm about to be doing here. I hope somebody, trains me at something or teaches me something about, this tacit knowledge I'm going to need to be successful. Well, absolutely. Shouldn't surprise anyone. Training procedures, making sure we train employees appropriately, not just initially, but continual training throughout their careers and development, so important. Making sure that we continually challenge those top employees. We have to continue to give people interesting skill testing assignments in order to make sure that they continue to develop their abilities. And we've even had organizations that try this idea of rotating them and, like shifting them a little bit, switching things up with what they're responsible for doing. Try to expose them to new functional functional opportunities or new geographic boundaries, sending them places for experiences. Some of these types of training things can actually be just from us doing. A lot of the time, that's one of the most helpful things we can do for our employees. So we want to continue to create this environment that encourages and challenges people. We want people to challenge processes, bring up when they think that there are better ways to do things. Sometimes our most creative, best ideas in our organizations come from just that and say, why don't you give us some ideas of how you think things could be better? Because first and foremost, it attracts the people who really care, and they're going to have good intentions in order to push, interesting new processes into place, new ways of thinking, and challenge those old parameters of the ways that we think things work, and make sure that we can have the absolute best processes in place and not just the ones we've always had, right? But this means we've got to work on having a stimulating, engaging environment, giving people attractive compensation that is matched towards their performance, giving them good benefits so they feel secure in their lives and they feel like, yeah, I really want to give something back to this organization. I want to do well there. And that just means we provide people with that kind of continual motivational push by continuing to mentor them, continue to give them coaching, and make sure we're keeping the best people around really no matter what it takes. These are all some of the surefire ways that from this first step of staffing our organization, this is how we begin to build an organization that is capable of really effective execution.